Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Oh, yeah, the VOLS landed George McIntyre. There was no question about that. And old Mr. Kiffin is upset with Ohio State when it comes to the transfer portal, which I find very interesting. I thought he was the king of the transfer portal. Yeah, he's not happy. Anyway, let's get into George McIntyre committing to the VOLS. I don't think there was any question that he was going to do it. Everybody was pretty confident. He was actually spotted with Josh Heupel Saturday at the basketball game against Alabama Saturday. And that Dalton Connect, geez, what a player. But anyway, that was pretty obvious that he was going to commit to the VOLS, especially given the fact that Nick Saban had retired, who was obviously the point man at Alabama for George McIntyre. And LSU had already picked up the #1 quarterback for 2025. And then DeBoer brought in his own quarterback from Washington, a true freshman who will be a sophomore next year. So everybody was very confident McIntyre would pick the VOLS. And now we'll have 2 5-stars in our quarterback room, plus Jake Merklinger, a real nice 4-star, and Gaston Moore, a very competent backup. So I feel good about our QB room. And, of course, Lance Hurd, Zalance Hurd. I'm not sure which he prefers. But a 5-star left tackle, which is just perfect to protect Nico's flank. That's a great pickup. But let's take a look at George. And this was his junior year. You can see he's got all the moves, and he's a very nice thrower of the ball. As you can see, he throws a real nice little now you'll see his movement. You can see his scrambling ability, and then shoot, still can throw the ball with touch. And that's hard to do when you're running full blast and people are getting ready to knock you down. Here you can see this is the back end of that same play. But zoop, nice little touch pass. So obviously you can see the athleticism and the nice arm talent that he's got. And there's a reason he's a 5-star. #1 player in the state of Tennessee. I thought he was going to get nailed right there, but nope. Now he throws the long ball, perfect touchdown. So anyway, I'm not going to show you much more. Well, I'll show you one more play. What the heck? See how being 6'6" is such a big help. He can see over top of everybody. Then when he jumps up in the air, nobody's going to smack that down. Even in college, they'll have a tough time knocking down his passes. But he's got great touch, great arm talent. This is an excellent pickup for Josh Heupel. Are we becoming quarterback you? I can totally understand that. Look, if you're a quarterback and you saw what Hendon Hooker did for 2 years, are you not wanting to come to the University of Tennessee? The guy threw like 60 touchdowns and about 5 interceptions in 2 years. That's going to get you first round in the NFL. And actually, Hendon Hooker would have been first round had he not torn his ACL. He still went third round. So you can see why quarterbacks are clamoring to come play for the VOLS, which is awesome. So in 48 hours, we pick up 2 5-stars.
Another one.
One for 2024, one for 25.
And another one.
And we picked up a very nice defensive lineman, 300-pound guy out of Stanford. That should be a nice addition to our defensive line, which is really good, but we needed some help in the middle. We needed another big guy, and at 300 pounds, and he's going to be a sophomore, so he's got some experience. But now let's talk about Lane Kiffin complaining about the transfer portal.
Oh, there they go. There they go.
He's picked up half his team out of the portal, and he's complaining about it. Now, one of the big reasons he's upset is that Ohio State is taking what they want. They picked up Judkins, the all-SEC running back, out of Ole Miss, and I think that's what's got him tore up, is that they got Judkins from him. But they also picked up 2 monster recruits from Alabama, which is Julian Sayin, #1 quarterback in the country for 2024. He's transferring up to Ohio State. And they picked up Caleb Downs out of Alabama, which is the best safety in the country. I'm telling you, between Ohio State and Florida State, they're taking what they want from Bama.
I drink your milkshake.
Absolutely. They're drinking their milkshake, man. It's the way it is. And I've noticed that DeBoer's bringing in a bunch of guys from Washington. He brought in the center, who's an All-American. He also brought in quarterback, and he brought in a wide receiver. So a lot of the Washington guys are moving to Alabama. But I thought that was interesting that Lane got all tore up about it. Let me show you his tweet. Yeah, you can see people on Twitter are really upset about it. Yeah, here's Lane triggering. And primarily he's complaining because Ohio State has spent $13 million in the transfer portal. and it said Ohio State Buckeyes spent $13 million in counting and NIL money in an attempt to field elite roster. And then he's got his little emoji with the looking glass, and there's Judkins, of course. So yeah, Lane is noticed. But look right here, they're number 2 in the transfer portal. Only Texas A&M's above them barely. It's not even close. Then Florida State, of course, and Louisville's up there too. But a lot of these teams are building out of the transfer portal. A&M, Ole Miss, and Florida State being the tops, and Ohio State. So Lane complaining about something that he's doing himself is rich. But I can tell you one thing. If you're Ryan Day, you need to win. You need to, at the very least, get in the playoff, which I think they can do in their sleep. But you got to beat Michigan, and you're probably going to, if not get a natty, you're going to have to get to the national title game because they've spent a fortune and they're loaded. I mean, loaded. They've actually picked up 2 5-star quarterbacks in the same class, one of which is going to have to leave. I think his name's Aaron Noland to go with Julian Sayin. One of those guys will transfer out at some point, probably in the spring. I don't know if they might go through the whole year, though, and then the next spring transfer out, one of them. But this is Ohio State's time. I can tell you that much because they brought in an offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, which is usually a Hail Mary for a head coach. It means he's given up play calling duties, and if this doesn't work, they'll probably that's hard for me to say that, too. The guy's won over 90% of his games. He's recruiting like crazy. They might get rid of him if he doesn't, if this season doesn't go right. I know that sounds nuts, but
if you ain't first, you're last. You know what I'm talking about?
I've seen it happen before. I'm telling you, teams and fan bases can get so spoiled, they can't appreciate what they've got unless they get it all. And Michigan winning the national title has made it that much worse. Texas A&M went through the same thing with Texas. Now, I think Jimbo deserved to be fired. But with Texas playing so well this year, that made it impossible for them to keep Jimbo. They just couldn't handle it. The jealousy of cross-state team was just too much for them. And jealousy's a big thing with fan bases, believe me. All those Michigan fans talking smack to those Ohio State fans, that gets to them. It really does. So this is Ryan Day's time. Now, like I said, he's got everything you could possibly want to win a natty. So we'll see how it plays out, but he needs to have a really good year. And Michigan, they must beat Michigan. If he does not beat Michigan, I think he'll be gone. Jeez. So the Vols have had 2 5-stars in a row. Boom, boom. That's great. Picked up their 5-star in-state quarterback. Couldn't let him get away. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big stories. Man, there's so many. What an absolute off-season. I cannot believe what all's happening. And Jim Harbaugh, I'm watching you. I'm going to be watching you closely, like a hawk. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big stories. My Vols, of course, the SEC, and whatever comes down my path. And if you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Hit this little button. It'll help you keep up with this stuff. It'll make it easy to get my videos. Won't cost you a dime. And right over here's the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.